July 7th, 2016, as Trump was kind of rising to prominence there, I was out filming a protest. This was a Black Lives Matter protest. It was the day after that guy, I think, outside of Minneapolis, Philando Castile. It's funny, I remember his name, but the protesters don't even remember his name. He was the guy whose girlfriend started live streaming in the car after the cops shot him when they told him to grab his wallet out to show his concealed permit. So they're out there marching for him, and I'm out there filming it. I don't go to these things to start trouble. I'm not there to argue with people. Bob can even testify to that. He's been at countless of these things, that I was at. I'm just there like a fly on the wall. I film what happens and I post it up. I'm more apt to ask questions if I'm at a politician's town hall. It's a publicly elected official. But when I'm filming protests, I like to be a fly on the wall. So I'm standing there filming the speakers on the steps, much similar like this in downtown Portland. You have hundreds of people in the street, not a single uniformed police officer to be seen. Now that's kind of contrary to their own directives, which state there must be a strong visible police presence. I personally have seen, countless protests where they have at least a couple rows of bicycle cops along the side, at least at first, kind of keep helping to redirect traffic and whatnot. So I'm just standing there filming it. Next thing I know, I got a mob of these thugs surrounding me. They got their masks over their faces, they're carrying their anarchist flagpoles, which I personally have seen used as weapons to smash out windows during riots and whatnot. So they're making a beeline straight for me, and they're led by a guy named Benjamin Carenza. He is a very, very large guy with a very lengthy criminal history. He's been in and out of federal prison 3 times on a variety of different charges, in and out of county jails. So they start encircling me from behind, and they start pushing and shoving me, going, "Get the fuck out of here, get the fuck out of here." I'm like, "Hey, don't put your hands on me, don't put your hands on me." And I start backing away immediately. Obviously, these guys mean business. Obviously, they intend harm upon me. So it's stupid for me to stick around. So I start trying to back away immediately. People talk about this duty to retreat thing. I was trying to retreat just because it was the prudent thing to do at that point in time. So I'm backing away. A bunch more people come running into the scene. It's a chaotic, dynamic scene with people running in and out. I got all sorts of people up in my face screaming and yelling at me, people from all sides of me. So I'm backing up the block here, and I'm trying to get away from the situation. I'm backing up the block for 40 seconds after this guy started pushing and shoving me. And then another guy is circling around my back at this point. So my attention is diverted this way to this other guy circling around me and the bulk of the mob coming up that way. I happen to notice out of the corner of my eye, the big guy, Carenza, who started the entire altercation, is now coming up on my blind side. I happen to catch him out of the corner of my eye. At that point, I had every reason to believe that these guys were just seconds away from pummeling me into the pavement, robbing me of my camera gear. I had my computer gear in my backpack. I wasn't going to try to turn and outrun these guys. So at that point, I felt as though I had no choice. So I drew my gun straight on these guys, and I said, "Get the hell back. Everybody needs to get the hell back." Fortunately, everybody stopped and or got back. I'm very thankful for that. Now, I was trained to shoot until the threat has been neutralized.
Yeah.
In my case, the act of me drawing the firearm was enough to neutralize the threats. So after I had it out for 7 seconds and everybody had gotten away, the threat was then neutralized and I reholstered. I continued retreating. A few other people came up to get in my face. Another guy came up and pushed me. But it had not reached the elevation of threat like in that particular scenario. When the police finally showed up, they jump off the riot truck. It's odd. The Central Precinct Commander at that time, Chris Davis, Assistant Chief, felt that this protest warranted having riot cops in strategic positions all along downtown, but he didn't feel it warranted having at least a couple rows of bike cops. Which is it here? Is this something that gets your attention, or is this something that doesn't? It seems like there's two contradictions of tactics there. So when they finally showed up, we're now 2 or 3 blocks away from where it all happened. They jump off their wagon, they draw their guns on me, they order me to the ground, and I tried to explain to them, these guys attacked me. The big dude who was then, maybe from here to the just the edge of the street here. So he was still somewhat pursuing me, even as I was trying to get away. And I tried to explain, these guys attacked me. I tried to get away. I acted in self-defense. I'm a concealed carry holder. I have my license in my pocket here. They didn't care about anything that I had to say. I implored them to watch my video of what had happened. They didn't care about any of that. So they tossed me away, They send me off. And I'll try to keep this short. You can go on my YouTube channel for longer explanations and all the video footage from what had happened. So I was initially charged with 2 misdemeanors of menacing and disorderly conduct. So I show up the next day at 2 o'clock for my arraignment. At this arraignment, this prosecutor, Kate Molina is her name, she pulls out this phony police report that I didn't even know existed, that someone had filed about 3 or 4 weeks beforehand. This guy named John Slaughter, who my only interaction with him is that he got in my face at an event about a month beforehand, screaming and yelling at me. He files a police report claiming that I was sending him threatening race-based text messages and voicemails, and that I have ties to white supremacist organizations, and that I drove by his house with my hand in the shape of a gun pointing towards him. Now, I barely even know who this guy is. I don't care who this guy is. Last thing I want to do is go around doing what he's accusing me to do. In fact, the night he's claiming that I drove by his house, I was caring for not 1, but 2 cats that needed medical attention. So I didn't even know this report existed. I was never contacted about it. So she pulls this out in front of a judge and starts reading this as if it was fact in front of a judge with all the TV cameras rolling. TV news broadcasts it that night. She uses this report to justify putting a $250,000 bail on me, now upping this to felony charges, all for a guy who was targeted, attacked, trying to get away from the scene, acting in self-defense. So I'm fortunate enough for organizations like Oregon Firearms Federation and other people who contributed to my defense fund, because again, they tossed me in jail at that point on a $250,000 bail. So we were able to raise enough defense funds and bail funds to get me bailed out after 11 days of being in jail. And so when I get out, I then have to report to this pretrial release officer, which is similar to the probation officers. This person, Chelsea Fanua is her name, F-O-N-U-A. She orders me, while I'm out, similar conditions to being on probation, but she can also impose other restrictions. She tells me that I cannot post videos on YouTube, I cannot blog, I cannot go on Twitter, I can't talk to the media, I can't go to political events. That's what she's ordering me while I'm out on this pretrial release. They don't want the truth to get out there. They don't want me to be able to tell my story. They want all these other people to be able to tell their false narrative about what had happened. So my first person video, which had been immediately confiscated by the police, which is the only angle that shows the initial attack, that was ordered as sealed evidence by the judge, so the public could not see that. Also ordered as sealed evidence by the judge, Thomas Ryan, Multnomah County Circuit Court. Also ordered sealed evidence is the surveillance video from the Hatfield Courthouse right across the street from where this happened, which shows this mob gathering up, putting their masks over their faces, huddling up to coordinate and plan how they're going to come and attack me. Sealed evidence, public can't see it. So it comes time for the trial. They've dragged me all the way through trial up to this point. The judge rules to be inadmissible my statements that I gave to the detective that night, stating why I felt in fear, what had happened. What I said to the judge is ruled to be inadmissible. Also inadmissible was the fact that 16 months before this had happened, I did have 2 video cameras stolen from me. I was body slammed onto the pavement. I had my arm broken. I personally had experienced this thing in the past, just 16 months beforehand. Judge ruled that's inadmissible, irrelevant. Has no bearing on someone's mindset when they're facing a similar situation. So all the evidence that shows that I acted in self-defense, based on what had happened before, based on the videos, based on my own mindset, all that is ruled to be inadmissible. So there's claiming that there are 10 victims in all of this, only 2 of whom were ever identified and never came forward. That being the big dude, Carenza, with the lengthy criminal record, who started the fight. The other one being the guy who circled around my back, who distracted my attention, leaving Carenza to then make a run up my blind side. Those are the only 2 people who ever came forward. So one of the things that we motioned for was change of venue, because we knew that there was all this untrue stuff going on in the media, largely based off of what the district attorneys themselves said in front of the news cameras is completely untrue, completely false, no evidence to support, that they even admitted was a lie that they never brought up later on. So we wanted to change the venue to move to a different county because we knew that everybody in Portland was going to be tainted by this. So judge denied that. So we had to go with what's called a bench trial, where the judge is the one who is the finder of fact. Because there were people on the jury who were at the protest, there were people at the jury who I had filmed in the past. There was one of the groups that I focused on when I was doing this journalism is called Ceasefire Oregon. They're the anti-gun group in Oregon. And I would oftentimes post videos from their director, Penny Okamoto, saying and doing stupid stuff when she gives her presentations. One of the people in the jury is a volunteer for this organization, has known about me for years. That was the jury pool that we had to work with. So we decided to go with the bench trial, and the judge eventually found me guilty of 21 counts. 10 felonies of unlawful use of a weapon, 10 counts of menacing, 1 count of disorderly conduct, when 8 of these supposed victims never came forward. We didn't even know who they are. So I'm continuing to fight the case. This is now plodding through the appeals process, which is a whole nother animal. This gal who works for the state, Susan G. Howe is her name. She's lying in the things that she's reporting to the appeals court. She's claiming it's Carenza and 3 other people, when really it was Carenza and a whole bunch of other people. The reason why she's saying things like that is to minimize the trauma that I was going through at that point in time, because if someone's engaging in, I forget the term exactly, but conduct to, bring alarm to the public, with 5 or more people, that's now considered riot, a Class C felony, which is precisely what Carenza and the others were doing. By her trying to say it was only Carenza and a couple of other people, that she's thereby trying to minimize what had actually happened. So I feel as though I am the victim of coercion, which is using force and threats to prevent someone from engaging in something they have the right to do. I consider myself the victim of riot. I consider myself the victim of Carenza's menacing, Carenza's harassment, but Carenza is considered the innocent victim in all of this. So this sets a very scary precedence, and the Fox 12 guys need to be worried about this. The guy from the Photographers Association needs to be worried about this. Where did Alex go? Alex Milan. Alex Milan needs to be worried about this, because as of right now, what this judge has done is he has invalidated the First Amendment. Right. He's saying that you do not have a right to be in a public area, filming a public event, as part of your free exercise of your freedom of the press. Instead, a mob of thugs with masks over their faces have the legal right and lawful authority to prevent you from being in a public area, filming a public event. And the only crime is if you try to stop them from harming you, then you're the one arrested. You're the one brought up on charges. That should strike fear into anybody with a camera, any reporter, any news organization.
Anybody that feels like he just needs to pull his gun when he's being threatened.
A lot of people consider my case mainly a Second Amendment case, and I consider it to be equally, if not more so, First Amendment. This is a clear case. Everybody's seen the meme of the First Amendment scroll writing something down, and then the Second Amendment scroll with his rifle going, "I got your back, bro." It's a prime example of this, using the second to defend the first. This Tuesday evening at Portland State University. Here's another thing I'll mention real quick. So, a lot of those restrictions from pretrial were lifted when the judge gave his sentencing. I was sentenced to a relatively light sentence, but still, it's done a big toll on my life here. So the judge has ruled that I am banned. He originally ruled that I'm banned from filming any person. So, so we challenged that at a follow-up hearing. He toned that down a little bit. I am banned from filming protests. I am banned from filming anything at PSU or PCC. Anywhere where I'm told to leave, anybody who tells me to not film them. I can't even film my own speech right now, otherwise they're going to throw me in jail. I go to prison if I film a political event. All this talk about Trump attacking the media, I don't think Trump's ever threatened to imprison anyone for engaging in their First Amendment right. That's what I'm experiencing right now. This Tuesday evening, I'll wrap it up real quick here. This Tuesday evening, I'm giving a presentation at Portland State University. I'll be going far more into detail on this. I'll be showing some videos, debuting some videos that no one has seen yet from the evening in question. Until then, you can check out my YouTube channel, Laughing at Liberals. I've chronicled a whole bunch of these things. I've gone into great detail. We're waiting on the appeals court to rule on whether or not someone has a right to be in a public area, or whether a mob of thugs has the right to prevent someone from being in a public area. Thank you very much.